So I wanted to mention that we have community media here today filming this session so that we can bring it to a desktop near you for anybody who wasn't able to come to our session today. So that means that during this next session where we can share comments and questions and have a little discussion, in order for it to be picked up on the film, I need you to speak into the microphone. So I'm going to walk around with the microphone. So if you have comments, questions, just raise your hand and I'll run around the room and get my activity for the day.
Can I suggest a quick stretch break? Anybody want to stay?
Oh, that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
In, stretch up.
While you're stretching, I did want to mention to be sure and pick up any of the handouts that interest you at the back of the room, as well as be sure and fill out the evaluation form that's back there. That's really helpful for us to get your feedback. Also, I wanted to mention that the wellness program that we have called Healthy Habits has a website with lots of different resources. So you can find that on the main home intranet page, your home page when you log onto your computer at the bottom right-hand corner, and it says Healthy Habits. And then when you get there, you can find a myriad of things like classes, walking groups, nutritional information, just almost anything you can think about is there for you in one-stop shopping. So, would either of you like to comment about the film before we begin our question and answer session?
Peter, you want to start?
Sure. Thank you so much. There are a few points that I wanted to make, and I want to let your questions and your interests guide the bulk of it. But I do want to set up some things from my perspective. One is Sonoma County is not out of line with the weight of the nation. I want to make sure that it's clear that even though we have a really beautiful community, a lot of local agriculture, a lot of opportunity to ride bikes, and kind of a physically active-minded community, that obesity is an epidemic that runs across the nation, runs across communities. We have about 56% of our adults who are obese or overweight. We have about 56% of our kids have one or more fast food meals per week. We have only 39% of adults who have regular physical activity per week. And that number sort of foreshadowed or made worse in a way, in that 70% of our kids don't pass their physical fitness test in school. And that's not, Olympic trials kind of physical activity. That's, stretching and essentially walking a mile. And 70% of our kids can't do that. So stepping away from that data for a second and saying that I think the woman's comments at the end are really appropriate in that, we are the kind of individual, we are the one variable that we can control, and we can certainly control the level of physical activity we have. We can certainly control what we put in our mouths and serve on our tables, and that's very important. But I want to make clear that there's also a larger system at play, and the video talked about that at the onset, and that we can control ourselves, but we also have a responsibility to, I think, each other in our community to do something to improve the environments in which we live. And it's really kind of a moral obligation, I think, because we have the business impacts, we have health impacts, and if we say it's okay to just worry about myself and let others worry about themselves with health issues, we're essentially saying it's okay that people are dying younger, that our kids won't graduate from high school, that people won't earn a living wage. And that's not okay with me. So we need to look at our communities as well, not just our individual selves, and take action in that regard. So it's really a question of what will you do for you. The gentleman's comments at the end, right, of I took a look at a picture and, what do I want to be? And that's not it. It's what will I be? And so you can take that frame. So what will you be? What kind of life will you have? And then ask yourself, what community will we have together? And what will you do to make sure that we have that community? So a lot of challenges and sort of lofty ambitions there, but I just wanted to set that stage that there's a personal responsibility aspect of this, and then there's a much broader, I think, questioning and soul searching about what kind of responsibility we have to each other.
I would second that. I think it's really interesting that we do a needs assessment in Sonoma County every 3 years, and in 2008, the focus shifted from seniors to children. Seniors are still obviously very important, but we decided that the health of our children is really probably a better litmus test of our community's well-being. And I have a quick question. Who knows what the most common chronic childhood disease condition is? Any idea? Asthma is a big one. Cavities. Yes, it's tooth decay. It's about 5 times that of asthma, 7 times that of hay fever, and is still more prevalent than obesity. But 2 of the 4 focus areas in currently still, are oral health and healthy weight through good nutrition and exercise. And so a little bit more focus on children. And what our children are doing usually is a reflection of what all of us are doing to some degree. So it is really important to look at our communities and start from that point of view, I think. The other one thing I'll mention that I think as a physician, I'm a family physician, so I see people of all ages in addition to the health promotion work that I do for Kaiser Permanente. And 2 things that I'll often look at with people is what their motivation level is and also what their confidence level is. Those are 2 different things when you're thinking about behavior change. And in influencing those around us and being part of a community, the other thing that I like to think about is by trying to bring your best habits forth and say taking a walk at lunch or packing your own lunch or meeting friends for a hike instead of a meal, we really influence the people closest to us a lot too. So it's like when one person quits smoking, a lot of times how that affects everyone else. So those are some really neat, simple things that you can do that are both personal and affect your microenvironment.
Thank you for that. So that brought up a lot of different ideas between the comments that our panelists had to say and the information in the film. Does anybody have any comments that they want to add or questions that they'd like to ask of our panelists?
The emphasis on health is very important. And Kaiser used to do the BMI on everybody that came in and emphasize the importance of obesity, I think. But now, they're telling people that you're okay when they're obese and overweight. And so I have a question about that. I have a friend who had cancer and is very much eating the wrong things. And I just wanted to know if that is uncommon, or if these things which you all say are important, which I agree, are emphasized by the physicians treating the patient.
It's always hard to comment specifically on what a patient might have heard in a specific encounter, but we do track BMI on all adult patients. We follow it in children too. We don't actually talk about obesity and overweight using those words specifically with children as much because we found that that's actually counterproductive, and it's better to talk about healthy weight, healthy lifestyle, healthy activity, lowering your risk of disease. So the wording, especially in reference to children's weights in discussions and with their families, we actually have consciously changed that over the last 5 years because that's just become very evident that that's a better path to pursue. So we keep learning as well. But I think that I know in oncology and specifically, we still talk a lot about exercise as a vital sign, following a healthy diet, and sticking to a healthy weight because those have a huge impact on a person's long-term survival.
So I was really struck by there was a lot in the video that struck me, but there were 2 people who made comments. At the very beginning, nobody craves broccoli. And then when they were talking about that one town, one of the ladies said, we fry it. If it's not fried, it's grilled or boiled. And that made me think of Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution, where he actually went into a town and did demonstrations on how to cook healthy food. And it strikes me that the information is readily available to everybody on how to maintain a healthy weight. But because it's harder to cook a healthy meal, you have to put thought into it, you have to go buy the fresh ingredients, it's more expensive. A lot of people just make the easy choice. They're tired from work, make the easy choice of eating unhealthy food. And I'm wondering, I know that Health Action has some really great ways of encouraging people to eat or choose healthy drinks. Is there the possibility of adding some kind of chef demonstration or some kind of, come and learn in a live environment how to make something healthy?
So yeah, I'll start and then the county has either through funding or partnership, we actually do have a lot of cooking demonstrations out in the community, particularly targeting neighborhoods and communities that the easy choice is the unhealthy choice, right? Communities that don't have regular access to healthy food, or communities with income that won't allow them to purchase healthy food. So there's efforts kind of targeted at that. Globally speaking, this kind of gets back to the other point that I started with, is we need to make the healthy choice the easy choice, right? So sugary drinks, fast food, I don't want to get too political, but drive down Mendocino between this and our office, my office, all right, downtown. There's how many fast food restaurants, there's how many drive-thrus. And I know that's the easy choice, right? When growing up with a single mom who was working night shift and then working the day too to put food on the table, it was easier to get a big bucket of chicken than it was to come home and cook a meal. So there are things that gets back into the income issue and many other the determinants of health in our environment. So what we need to do is, again, provide those programs and services to communities that are struggling with these issues. But we also need to, as a community in total, make that healthy choice the easy choice. It takes, Richmond tried to do it with a soda tax, right? And I know that, again, not to get political and not to get too controversial, I don't see that as anti-business. I see that as anti-health, which, as we saw at the end of the video, pro-business. If you have a healthy workforce, you have a healthy economy. So there are these, big systemic issues that we need to tackle as well.
It's good to hear that you guys are,
We all are.
We
all
are
are as a community, not just us, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I would just love to say that I think people can crave broccoli. And that's the other piece. I think a couple things we sell our kids short. I think it's absolutely horrible when you go to even a nice restaurant or something, things that are on kids' menus as if that's all kids will eat. I know that's not true. I live a different life. And it is true in extreme situations where people are completely pressed for money, completely pressed for time. It is much harder. But for most of us, I would venture to say we're employed. I'm assuming most of you are employed, and that's why you're here. It's partly deciding, like that man said that was 400 pounds, the jazz musician. It is partly deciding. I remember about 10 years ago, I decided I am going to start cooking more and packing my own lunches. And every Thursday and every Sunday, I spent a little time on it. Sure, I missed a few, but I really decided this is what I'm going to do for a while, and I got good at it. And now I think it's faster than stopping anywhere. I must admit, I didn't ever eat a lot of fast food. I grew up in a household where mom did cook, and I did learn those things. But I think that for people in those middle options, we're kind of snowed by what we see around us. And we really do have a lot of choice, and it's not a lot more expensive, and it's not a lot more difficult, but it takes practice. I've been meaning to write an op-ed for a long time about how we need to bring home ec back so that we start to practice and these things aren't foreign anymore. Because I think kids do, my kids like grilled Brussels sprouts, so it can, it can happen.
I was going to add to just to echo that. Yeah, I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they love broccoli. They love edamame. They love, it does come down to this other point as well of bringing family back together at a dinner table, which has health benefits, but many other benefits as well. And it is a choice to the extent that it can be. I mean, if you're unable to make that choice for whatever reason, that's different.
Yep.
But if we have a choice, we do need to make that individual commitment to improving our health and those people that we have influence on.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judy from UCCE, and I have a friend who's just turned 60 this year. I have a lot of friends that turned 60 this year, and he's always had a healthy lifestyle. He's been a healthy weight, healthy BMI, I assume, since he's a healthy weight, very active, and he was just diagnosed with pre-diabetes. Could you comment on the genetic factor and how that plays into and balances out the healthy lifestyle, please?
That one's definitely more you than me.
So you're right. There's a lot of, we all have, I'm sure, examples of friends and people that we know that, have a diagnosis of cancer or a diagnosis of prediabetes or diabetes. In fact, it feels like, a very high percentage of my patients have prediabetes or diabetes. And the older we get, the more likely we are to become more insulin resistant because it does occur, it relates to age as well. The curve may be very flat, and some of us may never cross that threshold. For other people, it's steeper. So there is some genetic predisposition. It's very interesting because I've recently been involved with a program in Rohnert Park working on learning how to follow a plant-based lifestyle and learn how to cook and become familiar with that. And it's really interesting because for certain kinds of heart disease, even if you have 2 recessive genes, so you're very likely to get the disease, a certain type of heart disease, if you follow a plant-based diet, those people will completely turn those genes off. And so it's very interesting how this plays out. So I would say that for a majority of Caucasian people, because in Native Americans, there is definitely a very high genetic propensity to develop diabetes. In Caucasian Northern Europeans, there's less. It's interesting when on the screen when it listed the 7 things that should ideally be done, and the fact that only fewer than 1% of us really meet all 7 of those. I would say that probably a lot of us that look pretty okay on the surface and that follow a pretty decent lifestyle still aren't hitting them all. And then as we age, we end up crossing that threshold and having more insulin resistance. So that might be the case for your friend. But if you hadn't been doing all of those things, you might have had overt diabetes 10 years ago.
So out of respect for everyone's time, I do want to mention that the session was going to be over at 1, so if anybody needs to leave, feel free to go. And thank you very much for your time today. If anybody wants to stay and continue to ask a few more questions, we're willing to stay for a few more minutes. Was there another question in the back?
Uh-huh.
Yes, and I would love to invite all of you back for sessions 2, 3, and 4, and bring a friend. I hope you all enjoyed it today. Thank you.
I don't like microphones, but okay. My name is Erin. I work with environmental health. And obviously, I just want to put out there that the problem of obesity also has environmental consequences, and that needs to be in a presentation or in a movie like that. Mm-hmm. What it represents, the waste, and all those things that we usually don't mention. I think that I've been following what the county is doing, the efforts to become a healthier county. And I have some ideas. For example, one of them is to do a better marketing with becoming healthy. And with this, I mean, you know, when we talk about exercising, we say workout. We need to remove the work from there and make it, let's play.
You play, I know.
Let's play hard. And this I learned from a friend. And also, instead of counting calories or grams of fats, teach people to see what you eat as an investment for your health, and not just like thinking of calories or fat. This is broccoli is an investment because it's giving me more good things than the piece of fried chicken or the French fries and things like that. The other thing that I have in mind is that I would like to see playgrounds for adults, not just for children, because that's a way that you can share the fun. I'm sorry. Share the fun with your children.
Yeah.
And they see that you're having fun, they see that you're moving, that you are exercising, and they follow what you do. So, and I like swims and I like slides and all that, you know, it should be for everybody. So that kind of ideas, also screen time, you know, that needs to be addressed because there is a reason why we don't move. So what are we doing about that? You know, it looks like youngs are going more towards not moving than moving.
Yes.
With the technology. So why don't we get these big companies, computer companies, software companies involved in the efforts to do this? Maybe they can donate money to, I don't know, create more parks or things like that. So there are just ideas out there.
Here, here.
Thank
I
you.
like them all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Those are great suggestions.
You know, one thing I'll say, it's interesting, if you can get kids eating dinner together as a family, limiting screen time, and avoiding juice, right there, you set people on a completely different trajectory for so many different reasons as far as their health, their well-being, their success in school, decreasing dental decay, and decreasing obesity. So there are some pretty simple things, many of which you're addressing there. And I think it's episode 3 focuses specifically on children. And there's a lot of, Lustig, who spoke a few times, is a professor of endocrinology down at UCSF, and he talks a lot about exactly that, reducing screen time, no sugary drinks, nor juice. That's a big one for people, understanding that juice is really no better than soda in many ways. You might as well eat your fruit and drink your water. So much better for you, but he specifically talks about that. We have Screen-Free Week in Sonoma County every year. It used to be Turn Off Your TV Week, but now because TV is not, as you're saying, really necessarily the main form of screen time, that comes up. So that's a great opportunity to get involved with schools and support that, something to look out for. Can we do that at work? Yes, I know. It's outside of work. I know. Oh, good.
On plant-based diets and so forth. But I really wonder, you know, if you encourage people to see Forks Over Knives and Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, those are really wonderful presentations,
Yeah.
I think.
Two
and
of my
moving
favorites.
And for success.
Yeah. And if you're looking for a quick gift for Christmas, I think Food Rules and Eater's Manual by Michael Pollan is a really fun read. My kids like it, adults like it. It's just really for fun. It's a little tabletop book. And Following McDougall is a local guy that does a lot with plant-based. And also Rip Esselstein's The Engine 2 Diet book, very interesting. A few other books too. If you have more, I can give you a list too if you want to post and follow up.
That would be great. I think our website could use something like that.
Okay.
All right, again, I encourage all of you to come to the next session happening in January, and be sure and turn in your evaluation form. Thank you again for coming out in the rain today.